I'm welcoming both Thorkil and Alan right now. So there now, Thorkil, how badly am I slaughtering your name?
You're doing very well, Shannon. Thank you. And you've done it before, so that comes through now.
Well, it should, but sometimes I have issues. So thank you. And I meant every word that I said. You are the man. You are a wonderful dad who's making a difference in the world, and we're just so grateful to have you back here. And Alan, welcome for the first time. I can't wait to talk to you and pick your brain. I hear that you're really good at solving problems.
I wish you'd tell my kids that.
Listen, this is recorded now. You can go back and tell them and say I said so. So, gentlemen, we would love to have you on any time of the year, but we're having you on today for a very special reason. There's something coming up on that's happening with the UN. Who would like to talk to us about what this is and why we should still care about World Autism Awareness Day at the UN? Who wants to take that question?
Oh, I would like to do that, Shannon. Okay. And thanks for the energy you put into this, and thanks for the discussion you had just before we came on board, and also this very important discussion on where are we at now. Is it awareness? Is it access? Is it activities? Is it acceptance? Is it appreciation? Is it something else? And I think the answer is it's all of them, depending on the context and the timing that we're in right now. But the UN World Autism Awareness Day is, in my eyes, one of the most important events throughout the year. The United Nations, all member states, made a joint decision some 10, 12, 14 years ago or so, that there should be one day that should be dedicated to autism. And I think we are quite privileged because not many areas within the disability span gets a specific day where there are a lot of activities going on around the world. And that there's this formal thing about it as well, because you mentioned in the introduction here that you're driven by this because of a family thing. I'm driven because of a family thing. Alan is driven because he knows someone who who has a family member like we do. So, but very often it has been difficult for us to get kind of the governments at a high level interested in this, because because I don't know why governments would not put this on the forefront of their agenda and say we need to do something. We need to make sure to leave no one behind. We need to work more with the civil society, with people like you and I and Alan and all the other ones who have such a passion. And when we see a hope, first we need to see a hope, then we need to be able to turn hope into action. And when we do that, a lot of people will also start saying, I've found a good solution for my loved one. Now I want to help those who come next, or those who have not been as fortunate as myself. And I think this is for me, the UN World Autism Awareness Day is a stepstone to this global solidarity project, as I see it is bringing the energy in the civil society to work with the market in forms of companies and others where you can make a living, and the governments, the education system. We need to, I think, rethink the whole, all settings that we are dealing with. But my journey started in Denmark. Within half a year after I started, I had emails from families in more than 100 countries who said, if it works in Denmark, then please come and help us. And I cannot say no when families reach out to me and say, we've seen a hope for the first time. Please, we want a future where we as parents know that when we go to rest one day, when we don't have the resources to be there for our kids anymore, they will still have a good life. They'll belong, they'll be embraced, they'll be appreciated. And so I knew that if it works in Denmark, then I could not stop. It has never been the idea that Specialisterne would be something for my own son, because at that time he was in kindergarten, and I had no idea where he wanted to end up. So the best thing would be to change the labor market at scale.
I like how you think.
Yeah, but we had particularly much interest from North America, and in 2013 I relocated with my autistic son and my wife. I have two other kids. They moved away from home. They are older, so they stayed back in Denmark. But the ambition was to show that we are serious about the 1 million job goal. And if you live in a country with 5 million people and have a goal of 1 million, that's a stretch. So we need to go where the action is, and that is very much in the US at so many levels. The US is the bus. This is where all the bells and whistle they are active at the same time. So the purpose was for me to see if I could motivate big companies to start on employment programs. And I think that has been quite successful also, because there have been people like Alan, and many have been inspired to start something similar, or to go to their employer and say, let's do it in our company as well. But I was contacted by the UN in 2015 to have an employment focus when addressing the World Autism Awareness Day event. Much has been about all the challenges and autism as a global health crisis, but we also need to learn from other angles. And I helped the UN to organize the event that year, and we chose the theme, the autism advantage. We brought employers, we brought autistic people who have gotten a job, we brought business school, academia, a lot of different stakeholders to the same event, and we talked about the autism advantage for 3 full hours. That was amazing. And the UN asked Specialisterne Foundation to seek association with the UN, so we can work more on this agenda together. And since then, Specialisterne Foundation has carried the autism advantage theme through luncheons for a number of years. And the UN also asked us to bring the knowledge to out in the world, because when we do events at the UN, it's 90% are Americans from the Northeast corridor. But this is a global thing, a global discussion. And we organized Autism Advantage luncheons in China, in India, and Indonesia. And it's just, we have so many soulmates out there, Shannon. when we meet parent to parent out there and see through everything and just connect, it's just amazing. And I think regardless of what we call the theme, which word we use in the US and in other places as the theme, awareness or something else, in Indonesia, to get awareness, to get attention, to get some positive discussions, is where that's the forefront in Indonesia, for example. That's where we need to start. We cannot just jump to access and appreciation and so on. We need to find the right way of talking based on the traditions and the welfare system and the culture and the religion and so on. But for me, the UN World Autism Awareness Day represent the idea that we are in this together on a global scale. And what we learn in Denmark, in Canada, in the US should be to benefit of the people in India and Indonesia and China and elsewhere, and vice versa.
Amen.
So,
Amen to that.
That's my perspective.
I love it. And every year, the UN, when they have this day, they pick a theme, as you said. And this year, correct me if I'm wrong, the theme for this year is inclusion in the workplace, challenges and opportunities in a post-pandemic world. There's so much optimism in that statement. I mean, first of all, speaking it out into the world, inclusion in the workplace, which, I think that's gaining traction. And I love that you put challenges, because you're not saying that there's not going to be challenges, but I love that there is the word opportunities. And then, of course, I love a post-pandemic world, because I hope that's where we're headed. Let's please be in a post-pandemic world. But I love the fact that there's the word opportunities in there. So there's an event that's happening on April 8th, and it is a virtual event because we are not yet post-pandemic. And it's important, people need to register to be able to go to that event. But if they do, what will they see, you guys? What's going to be on the agenda that day?
So first, there will be addresses from the UN Department of Global Communications. And so there'll be the Secretary General has made an announcement that is kind of the UN's call to action to the world. And so that will be presented and discussed. I will share the status of inclusion in the workplace around the world, and I'll announce some initiatives that I think you will find very interesting. I'll have to keep the thunder to the day, but yeah. I'll also use that as a teaser for everyone to sign up. It's a 1-hour event this year. It's virtual, and I think it's a great opportunity that will also be relevant to everyone, because the next thing is there'll be 2 panels discussing the challenge opportunities that we see in the situation we're in right now, but also in what we have learned and how we think that if we seize the moment, we can actually use this moment of a disrupted workplace to build back better. And Alan will have a lot of experience to share there.
Yes.
But I think it's also something that brings us together and underline the UN element, saying we are all in this together. COVID is the first war that where we are all on the same side. There's no one are safe until everyone are safe. We have learned that it's not.
Oh, I think he's frozen.
Uh-oh.
I hope it's, I wasn't sure if it was just me. But I can't wait to hear what he says, and we'll catch up with him when he unfreezes. But in the meantime, Alan, there's a couple of things that he said here, and one of them is that that you're somebody who comes up with great ideas, that it's important that we be working towards inclusion, and that a lot of what's happening, that there's a hub here in North America that is teaching the rest of the world, where we need to get to. So you are the CEO of Specialisterne in North America. Talk to us about what you guys are doing to create that inclusion in North America. Give us the 411.
The 411. Well, I think one of the things that we've learned from the beginning of what we started doing here is that a lot of the changes that create inclusion or create opportunities for individuals in the autism spectrum, this is sort of where the million jobs is our sort of a North Star idea. Yeah. For us, 1 million jobs, as Thorkil said, is about changing the way that the employment market works. And one of the things that we've learned is that when you make changes for an outlier group, you start to get a vision into the kinds of changes that would be good for everybody. And creating an inclusive environment, what we've learned is that creating an inclusive environment isn't about creating a special program for individual groups of people, but rather creating a way for all of us to be included in the mainstream program. It's allowing everybody to be part of the mainstream. And so I think before COVID came, we were seeing that the changes in the employment market were about, well, what do we need to do in order not to just have people check their bias at the door, but rather eliminate the bias in the system? What we've seen in COVID is that changes can happen a lot faster than we thought. And so, I think we've seen probably 10 years of development of a lot of the things that we were looking to happened within 10 days, in March of last year. So what we're seeing is that employers are much more open to doing things differently than they did before. And they've learned to do things in a more inclusive way because they've been forced to. I think the risk, though, that we should keep in mind is that we may be leaving some people behind in this new world as well. We need to make sure that we don't run past people. For example, I think we've seen that there are a lot of people who we've helped businesses to get hired who are much more comfortable now that they don't have to get up and go to the office. They can work in a space that's one of the concepts that Specialisterne really focuses on is this concept of the comfort zone, keeping people within a space where they're more comfortable. And so being able to be in your own space and pick your way of communicating is a really good thing for a lot of people. But there may be a lot of people who require and would benefit from being amongst others more. And so we have to make sure that we don't lose that and lose sight of that as we move forward. So those are some of the things that I start with.
That's great. I just want to welcome Thorkil back. You froze on us, and so we went on without you, my friend, but we're glad you're back.
Thank you.
And we left you sort of in mid-sentence, and I wanted to give you I think we knew where you were going, but did you want to pick up where you left off, or should we just march on?
Yes. I think I'll just to touch on it. So the COVID is a game changer, really, for the labor market. And we'll discuss the challenges and the opportunities, because the kind of old version of the labor market, that paradigm, was when you had to excel in social skills, chatting at the water coolers, figure out what people mean when they're trying to be funny, and a lot of loose ends or not specifically clear instructions. And what we see now is that the new ideal employee is someone who can stick to the rules, in particularly in this safety situation, make sure to follow safety instructions, very punctual, withdraw from large groups, don't kiss and hug so much, keep at a distance, and plan and prepare your work so thoroughly that it can be done partly or fully remote. Now that may be the opportunity we have been waiting for autistic and other neurodivergent persons to suddenly be the role models in a workplace that want to be resilient and competitive in a situation like this, because it may not be the last time that a health issue will hit when it hurts the most in the company. So that's the discussion we'll have today, and then we'll announce some exciting initiatives that you will have to hear on the 8th.
Okay, now where do people need to go to register? And Traven, if you already have this, please put it up on the screen. But do we know where they need to go to register, gentlemen, for the event on the 8th?
Yeah, one option is to go to the Specialisterne Foundation.com. One is to go to the UN World Autism Awareness Day.org.
Well, I'd love to. So what is the website for Specialisterne? Let's start there.
It's www.specialisternefoundation.com. We would, but we'll also do campaigns on social media, and I'll make sure that you will have a link to be able to pass around.
We have a link. I suspect we have one. We'll find it. But it's important. It's a free event, but people need to register. Yep. And I know we're all last minute Lulus and we like to register late. But one of the things that I found with these things, if you register early, what it does is it reminds you. So, and I just want to give my little plug here that, you know, I love our community, and our community is very diverse, and everybody has different opinions and needs. There's the website for Specialisterne. Thank you, Traven. But I think it's so important that we all agree on a couple of different things, and we you know, we're all unique and different, but we all want for individuals on the autism spectrum to be happy, healthy, and to feel like they belong, because they do. And as I was saying at the start of the show, part of that is employment, and part of it, in order to get there, whatever A word you like, whether you like the acceptance, or you want action, or you want access, or, you know, whichever one of the A words you choose, we're not going to get there if we don't take our leaders, our world leaders. And the fact that the UN creates this day and has said, we think this is important enough that we all need to be of a like mind about how important this is. I think we as a community need to support it in every way that we can. And you know, be a part of the change and show people. It's very hard for our community. I'm sure you guys know this. It's very hard for our community to come together on any one thing, right? Because everybody's so diverse. But if we can come together on something, I feel like it might be this. And so I want to encourage people, please register, show the folks at the UN that there is a community of people who are watching and who care and are appreciative of the fact that this matters. Now, and you can do that by going to the website for Specialisterne, or you can go to the UN and look up World Autism Awareness Day. But I'm sure that, because it's been a while since we've had you on, Thorkil, and so I'm sure people are wondering, how do you even tackle this issue and come up with 1 million jobs? We all have some sense of, we know somebody on the spectrum who's either lost their job because they couldn't, quote unquote, fit into some crazy rule, that really wasn't essential, right? Or somebody who's struggling. Somebody just emailed me the other day and said, what, who's teaching young people on the spectrum what their rights are so that they don't get discriminated against in the workplace. So I guess the question for you guys is, what are you actually doing to bridge this gap to help give people on the spectrum the skills and the understanding of what their rights are? And how are you helping employers so that they can recognize this talent pool that's going to be great for their company, but they're going to need to look at things in a slightly different way? How are you doing that? It's a big question.
Yes.
You want to start, Thorkil, or shall I?
Well, I can just give you a ramp, Alan.
All right.
Well, I set the goal 1 million jobs because it doesn't make sense to try to make a change with 460 or 32 or something. And I did it after Specialisterne was presented for the first time at Harvard Business School, and I was invited to be part of the session. And after the professor introduced the theme in the first half, I was invited to the floor in the second half. And for the first time ever, the very seasoned business school professor, he saw a standing ovation from 70 IT business professionals. It was my first experience of that kind. And I said, wow, if 70 business professional leaders give me applause, maybe I've hit something, a core here. And in the bookstore, I bought the book, The Power of Unreasonable People. I read it on the flight back to Denmark and identified myself as an unreasonable man. And they are allowed to do wild things like saying 1 million jobs is the goal. But I'm actually pretty convinced that we'll make it, because there's a lot of super important activities going on. We have the ear of the employers. Employers want to take these programs global, and we're also working with the education system and getting the attention of many governments around the world. We have Specialisterne in 13 countries, so we can draw from a lot of different experience from different cultures and settings. So from my global perspective, I see a movement that has crossed the point of no return. This will grow, the momentum will grow, the appetite from employers will grow. And it's really a matter also to work with the education system and families and civil society and governments to make sure that people's opportunities and talents and skills are being developed to its optimal stage before they reach the labor market. And if we can train the same way of understanding and working together, both to employers and to people before they are employed, then we are removing the divide that has been there for way too long.
Okay. Now is it Alan's turn? Alan, are you going to give us the nuts and the bolts of this?
Yes.
We've got the beautiful picture on the hill. Tell us how we're going to get there.
The nuts and bolts. Well, practically speaking, a lot of our work is focused on the employer side of the, let's call it the problem. And I think, if we, as we do a better and better job of getting people through school, getting people early supports, I think that the biggest divide probably remains that people will graduate and not get an opportunity, whether they graduate from high school or whether they graduate from some other type of education, or maybe they just have the ambition, but the employers just aren't ready. And so we look at things from a systematic perspective, and we enroll employers in create success with employers. We, practically speaking, we sell our services to employers where they, by definition, because they're going to pay us to help them to solve this problem, are going to expect benefit. And when they hire people and they see the success of doing things a little bit differently, as you said, they want to do it again. And then others begin to hear about that, and their colleagues and their friends hear about it. And I think that it's interesting to see that compared to 2004 and 2008 and 2013, when we started in the US and in Canada, and then today, employers it's a very different conversation that's happening amongst employers now. There isn't more than in the beginning, there was a skepticism. And a lot of the conversation was around, well, what's the business case and how do we know that those people could be successful and what kinds of roles? And since then, we don't have to have those conversations. Most, at least medium to larger size employers know, they just don't know how. And so what we do now is show them how.
That's
I think
amazing.
the next big phase, though, is going to be not just how to do it in a special way, but how to do it in a mainstream way. And that's when you get to 1 million.
There you go. And I'm imagining you guys have made big headway in the last few years. And then, of course, I don't know, was it 6 months ago that 60 Minutes did a piece on folks on the spectrum working in the workplace? And it's so interesting when you get to that level of mainstream. Anderson Cooper is talking about it. Then all these people started writing into the show saying, oh my gosh, did you know? And we were just banging our heads against the wall going, yeah. That you guys have been talking about this for a long time. But I guess, we'll take anything, because if it motivates that many more people to understand that it's not just the right thing to do. I think a lot of people thought, oh, they're asking them to hire people because it's the right thing to do morally and ethically, blah, 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 blah. But the understanding that it's good business. That it's good business for those employers, because they're going to get really good quality, intelligent, hardworking folks who are detail oriented, who take their job seriously, who are good at attention to detail often. And that isn't necessarily, I'm speaking in generalities. I don't want everybody to think that everybody on the autism spectrum is good at following rules. But many are. Many are. And part of what you guys are doing is making sure that it's the right peg for the right company. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that you said there that are important to keep in mind. One is since the beginning in North America, we've been keeping track of the results of what we've been doing. And what we've been able to find is that going through our program, that by and large, the business metrics for, let's call it the graduates or the hires who have come through our programs, have been performing as well as or better than, often better than, people who have been hired through the mainstream program. And so it's pretty easy to make a case with a business to say, would you invest $1 in this or would you invest $1 in that, if which one is going to give you a better output? And that's why I say that we're so focused on the business outcome, because if we can show that the outcomes are positive for hiring through these processes, then they're going to want to do it more and more. And we can say to the next employer who's never done it before, hey, look at the numbers that your competitor has. And so that's one thing. And the other thing that it's really important to keep in mind is that there are so many different things that people want to do and can do. And we mustn't be too focused on any particular type of job, industry, or that sort of thing. What we learned is that early on is that there are more people who self-identify themselves to the accessibility offices in colleges and universities who are in the arts than there are in STEM. And so we have this myth that everyone's going to be an IT person, or they're all going to be whatever it is that the myth might be. But the reality is that people have ambitions to be artists, and people have ambitions to be graphic designers, and they have ambitions to do gardening and to work in who knows what field it might be. And if they have the ambition and they have the interest, they probably also have the focus.
I love that. So we're running out of time here, gentlemen, but where do people go? There's a lot of people who are watching right now that are either adults on the spectrum or parents of teenagers and adults on the spectrum who are like, wait a minute, how do I get myself or my kiddo involved in this? Where do they go?
So if you're interested in learning more about Specialisterne in the United States, you can go to usa.specialisterne.com. And we also have, for Canada, ca.specialisterne.com. And there you can find out how to basically register with us and tell us more about yourself, and also see or get exposed to job opportunities when they come up. And if you're a
Wonderful.
parent, and just one other plug, if you're a parent who works in a company and you're interested in seeing how we can help your organization become more confident in doing something like this, then you can also contact us through those websites as well.
Can we nominate companies?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have a group of people here in Los Angeles that really, 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 I'm not going to say the name of the company, but wanted to work for a movie theater company. They want to work in a movie theater. They want to work behind the counter. They want to be the person scooping the popcorn. They're totally capable of doing it. I know at least 2 of them that went, and the companies that say that they hire inclusively, and they had to fill out the application online, were never granted an interview because they said they didn't meet the needs. And we've called and we've made phone calls and we've said, you're not doing this right. So just want to put it on your radar. Go get them, fix them. They want to be inclusive. They're not doing it right. They're missing the boat.
Right.
So if you can make headway, please do. Because we have kids who want to work there and could and should, and I think that company wants them, but gap. So we're leaving you guys in charge. But hey, before we leave, April 8th, I'm going to be talking about it all week long, you guys. It's a great opportunity. Please register. It's only an hour. Take a seat at the table on your own behalf, on your child's behalf, on behalf of people who can't. Because as Thorkil was saying so eloquently, if we're not all okay, then we're not okay. I phrased it wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. We got to make sure that we get there for all of our brothers and sisters, and not everybody has the internet to be there. So let's show up on their behalf. Thank you both for being here. This was just delightful. It was worth coming in on my day off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
I appreciate you guys. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Same to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.